What's up YouTube, welcome back to another STG video, and today we're rocking a different POV for y'all instead of just my face. I'm hoping this is a lot more entertaining considering it is a car driving around, seeing some nice views, so I hope you guys enjoy that. In this video we're going to be breaking down 7 cosmetic modifications, if you could even call them that. I would just consider them riced out parts, and we're going to see if any of these are even up to par or, you know, worth putting on a car. In terms of the capabilities, the value that is added, and I'm gonna be real. I don't think a lot of value is gonna be added to these, but nevertheless, let's get into it. Starting off with number 1, we got ourselves fake caliper covers. And this one is interesting because I do see a lot of these on the road, but believe it or not, there are several issues pertaining to them if you do plan on putting them on your car. Now, the biggest issue is heat retention, because caliper covers, they can trap heat, which can lead to overheating of the brakes, obviously, and these components can reduce braking efficiency, and that could potentially cause some damage, obviously. So you don't want that happening, because at the end of the road, you're going to have a lot more costs, you're going to have a lot of stuff to have to replace, and obviously the upfront cost of buying this cheap riced out part might not be worth it for you. You also have to take into account installation issues. Obviously, if you're buying a cheap part, that's going to lead to some problems because there might be some things that don't fit right, and that could lead to it not looking very perfect, I guess. But obviously, maintenance cost of the product, as I've said previously, and the limited performance benefits, because unlike actual brakes, like 6-piston rotors or whatever comes in the standard V8 models, yeah, you're not going to get a lot of stopping power from a cover. But nevertheless, people do put them on their cars. They do look good to a certain extent. I'll put some images up there for you guys to see. But overall, I don't think it's worth the cons that are associated with it. Moving on to number 2, we have ourselves stick-on wings and spoilers. In other words, non-OEM cheap Wish.com wings. Stuff that people would just put on their cars to get that added oomph, I guess you would call it. It doesn't give you any performance benefits. There's no logic behind it, just cosmetic appearance. And some automakers do this. I can think of the Camry, for example, and other cars like that. They're just there to give the aesthetic appeal and increase sales, or just have a way of saying, oh, this model's better than the base model, or in some cases like that. That's why they do it. But overall, there are some potential issues when you're buying an aftermarket cheap part that isn't supposed to be put on a car. One of these issues being adhesion issues, where over time the adhesive used to attach the spoiler can weaken, and especially under extreme weather conditions, like if you don't have a garage and you're parked on the side of the road, that could lead to some issues over time. The limited durability of a wing made in China could also lead to issues with bolt-on parts, which makes it more susceptible to damage from impacts or high speeds, if you can even go that high in your Altima. But nevertheless, we also have the aesthetic concerns. If not installed perfectly, they could misalign or, you know, obviously chip, distract people from overall appearance of the vehicle. I don't know. These are some pictures I found online. I'm not gonna lie, most of these don't even look that good on the cars, but I guess if you're looking at it from a certain point of view, they might look okay. I guess to each their own. But yeah, let's just be honest, the performance limitations, I don't even know if I have to explain this. I hope I don't. Unlike professionally installed spoilers, stick-on versions may not provide any real aerodynamics or any other benefits, so, you know, mostly for show, obviously. And even more so, the potential damage, improper installation, or removal can damage the paint or the surface of your car, potentially leading to costly repairs if you're willing to repair something that you pretty much did to your car yourself. I don't know, that just seems like a hassle, something that I personally wouldn't do. I get it, if you're gonna get like a base model, let's say Camaro or a Mustang, and it doesn't come with a winglet or a little spoiler or something, and you want to maybe make it look a little nicer, go ahead and get yourself an OEM part, put it on there, the parts are there, it's a bolt-on, it's simple plug and play. Go ahead and get that done. Don't go out and just buy yourself something off of like eBay or Wish.com and call it, you know, because that could lead to a lot more problems than I personally would be willing to deal with. Alright, number 3, Lambo doors. Need I say more? especially with cheaper cars. The cost of installing Lambo doors can be quite expensive from the overall value of the car. I mean, I'm thinking Nissan Altimas, I'm thinking Kias, I'm thinking stuff like that. I mean, even muscle cars. I've seen muscle cars. I've seen SSs with Lambo doors. It's just, is it worth it? I don't know. I mean, come on, it's a complex installation. The installation process is complex and typically requires professional help, which can add to the cost and time involved. I mean, as a car guy, we don't really give a crap about, time involved, but let's be real, I don't want to sit outside in the cold for a 10-hour job. Nevertheless, there are maintenance issues. The hinges and mechanisms of the doors can be more complex than standard doors, which can lead to increased maintenance needs and potential mechanical issues over time, which obviously is not something that a lot of people want to deal with. But if you take care of your car, I guess it couldn't be too bad. Limited accessibility, of course, because Lambo style doors can make it more difficult to get in and out of a car, especially in tight parking spaces or low ceiling garages. Now, let's be real, it's hard to get in and out of a sports car from the get-go. Getting these doors installed, you're going to have to shimmy your way in. Your spine's going to have to make like an S shape to conform to the shape of your bucket seats if you have bucket seats, and it's not a fun time, let's just be real. Obviously, this leads to structural integrity. Modifying the doors can sometimes affect the structural integrity of the car, potentially compromising safety in the event of an accident. Most people that race out their cars to the extreme, I don't believe, care about safety, but at least they should care about the resale value, because not all buyers appreciate the look or functionality of Lambo doors, such as myself, which could make it harder to sell your car in the future. So I don't expect you to sell it off a Facebook Marketplace in under 6 months, but that's just me. Moving on. Stance. This one's pretty self-explanatory as well. The ride quality, guys, the tire wear, the handling issues, the ground clearance, the legal concerns. I mean, everything is just, I don't understand. I get the Stance life is a community. They do make some nice looking cars if you pick the right cars to Stance, but overall, I think it's idiotic for most cars to look Stance, let alone be Stance in the first place, just because of all the issues that come with it. Ride quality lowering the car can lead to a rougher ride, as the suspension is often stiffer. The tire wear can be extreme. You're going to have to take it to the shop regularly to get them rotated, or in other instances, just replace them entirely. And we know how expensive tires can be. And with tires and driving, it comes down to the handling of the car as well, because while some stances can improve handling, extreme modifications can negatively affect the car's balance, and that obviously leads to more problems. Ground clearance. I mean, come on, guys. We've seen all the videos of people messing up their side skirts and splitters because they're trying to pull into a car meet and their car's too low. Let's just be real. That's obviously a big concern, as well as legal concerns, because in some areas, extreme stancing can be illegal due to safety regulations, like we've said previously, leading to fines or the need to revert the car to a more standard setup, which is a scary thought, because if you get pulled over, just like if you have too dark of a tint percentage, the officer could write you a ticket and tell you to take off your tint. This applies to Stance as well, and this is just something I don't want to deal with, because number one, it will eventually lead to being a waste of money and a waste of time. And us car guys know what wasting time is, and we don't want to waste more of it. Fake scoops and air vents. Yeah, you guys knew this was going to end up on here somewhere. And a lot of people call it rice. Some people don't call factory fake scoops and vents rice, but logically it falls in the same category because of the lack of functional benefits, because unlike real scoops and ducts, it doesn't help with engine cooling, it doesn't help with aerodynamics, it doesn't help with brake cooling, it doesn't help with any performance benefits. And the biggest problem is they're potentially misleading. They can give the impression that the car has a certain performance capability, and people are going to be like, hey man, what you got under the hood? And then it's just like, it's just my V6. Or it's just my 4-cylinder turbo, but I have this huge cowl hood that just breathes in a ton of air and doesn't save it for the rest of us. Nevertheless, I'm not hating on people that do that, but I'm just saying, we all gotta have something under there to give, some reasoning behind it. That's all I gotta say. But more or less quality issues, fake scoops and ducts are often made for lower quality materials that can degrade, because that scoop you get from Taiwan, it probably will last maybe 6 months to a year depending on how you're driving the car. And the installation damage, I mean, let's just be real, you're going to have some paint damage over the years. And if anything, maybe if you leave your car outside and the sun hits it a lot, paint discoloration, because under the scoop, you're going to have a lot nicer paint than outside of the scoop. So that could lead to problems too. And need I mention resale value, or, the aesthetic mismatch when it comes to paint? If you don't get it right, it's going to look a little weird. So just something to keep in mind if you are planning on getting these, because I know, like you guys know, there are side scoops on the Eleanor louvers on the Mustangs. They look good. I'm not going to diss them for being fake, because, that's just how it is. They look nice, and they're trying to harken back to a time when they actually had functionality. But nevertheless, you want to make sure that your paint lines up with your actual bodywork and your body paint, because if your paint doesn't line up, it's not going to look good at all. Up badging. I know, guys. Up badging is something that the car community hates relentlessly. And it makes sense why, but let me give y'all something that I would agree with. Let's be real. There are some cooling issues with the C7 Vets. There are people who do put the Z01 bumper on there with the excuse of saying it adds cooling. Or a Z01 bumper on an SS, for example. That could also be considered up badging, but there are some useful functionalities for it. So those are some things I would let slide to an extent. Obviously, if the functionality isn't there and they're making an excuse to just make their cars, look more expensive, I guess, than they are, that could lead to some issues with people. Maybe they could get a little angry about that, but that's not me. Regardless, I think that's a reasonable thing. And obviously, if you're putting a Z01 badge on an SS or a Z06 badge on a Stingray, that would warrant an issue, because obviously that's not a Z06. And in the car community, that's just a big no-no. But nevertheless, that's my stance on it, and that's my personal belief. So I'll let you all argue in the comments about that. But yeah. The last one, ladies and gentlemen, is claw marks, or I guess any vinyl that... Not every vinyl. I'm gonna be real. Just claw marks in general. This is just me personally. I just don't like them, honestly. And I know a lot of people that don't like them. I just figured I'd throw this in here just because it's just so prevalent on social media that people just diss claw marks, and I'm gonna be one of them. I'm gonna be real. I just don't like the way they look. I mean, I get why people do them. Makes the car more aggressive, yada yada yada. But come on, guys. There's got to be something y'all can do more than just, I mean, I don't know. It's just me. That's my take on it, y'all. But please like and subscribe if you like the video, and comment if you have any thoughts that I did not mention or disagree with me at all. Please go ahead and let me know. I am begging you, because I need comments. Please comment. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.